I just got a $30,000 raise. On paper, I should be celebrating. But for some reason, my bank account feels emptier than when I was making way less. Today, I'm breaking down the hidden tax of success that no one warns you about. Here's the thing. A raise is supposed to feel like relief. That's the whole story we're told growing up. Work hard, get promoted, earn more, and the stress goes away. But for a huge number of people, the opposite happens. The number on the paycheck goes up, and the anxiety somehow goes up right alongside it. If that sounds familiar, you're not broken, and you're definitely not bad with money. You're experiencing something that has a name, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. My name is Ely, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people in the U.S. experience money psychologically. If you're someone who earns a normal income, maybe even more than you used to, but still doesn't feel financially secure, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. It helps more than you'd think, and honestly, it tells me I'm not the only one who's noticed this pattern. Let's start with the math, because the math is where this gets interesting. Say you were making $70,000 a year. You get a $30,000 raise, so now you're at $100,000. That sounds like a massive jump. In your head, you basically pictured your bank account growing by 30 grand a year, sitting there, waiting for you. But that's not what happens. After federal taxes, state taxes if you live somewhere like California or New York, and increased withholding for benefits, that $30,000 raise might only translate to an extra $1,400 to $1,800 a month in your actual paycheck. According to the Tax Foundation, a lot of Americans underestimate their effective tax rate by several percentage points, which means the raise you imagined and the raise you actually receive are two very different numbers. Now here's where most people don't realize the second hit is coming. The moment that new income shows up, something quiet and automatic kicks in. Psychologists call it lifestyle creep, but I think that name is too soft for what actually happens. It's less like a slow creep and more like a pressure valve releasing. You've been holding back for years. Maybe you drove the same car for 8 years. Maybe you hadn't upgraded your apartment because it didn't feel responsible. And the second there's more room in the budget, your brain treats that room as permission, not as savings. So what happens? You start eating out a little more because you can now. Maybe you move from a $1,400 apartment to a $1,900 apartment because the extra bedroom finally feels justified. Maybe you finally trade in that car for something newer, and suddenly there's a $450 monthly payment where there used to be zero. None of these decisions feel reckless in the moment. Each one feels reasonable, even responsible. But when you add them up, that $1,600 a month raise disappears into $500 more rent, $450 more car payment, and $400 more in everyday spending that quietly expanded without you noticing. You're left with almost nothing extra, except now your fixed costs are permanently higher. Now you might be thinking, okay, but that's just bad budgeting, right? If people just track their spending better, this wouldn't happen. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. This isn't primarily a math problem. It's a psychology problem, and the data backs that up. A study from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances has repeatedly shown that as household income rises, savings rates don't rise proportionally for a huge portion of earners, especially in the middle and upper middle income brackets. The behavior isn't random. It's predictable. Income goes up, spending expands to match it, almost like water finding its level. Let's talk about why this happens, because understanding the why is what actually changes behavior, not just knowing the what. There's a concept in psychology called the hedonic treadmill, or hedonic adaptation. It describes how humans adjust to new circumstances, good or bad, faster than we expect. You get the raise, you feel a spike of relief and excitement, maybe for a few weeks. But your brain recalibrates what feels normal shockingly fast. That $100,000 income stops feeling like abundance and starts feeling like your new baseline. You're new, just getting by. And once something becomes your baseline, it stops generating any emotional reward. You need the next raise, the next milestone, just to feel that same temporary lift again. Here's what makes this worse in the United States specifically. It's not just internal recalibration. It's comparison, and comparison here operates on steroids because of how visible everyone's life has become. You get a raise, you feel good for a minute, and then you see a coworker who makes what you now make. But they own a house, they take 2 vacations a year, they don't seem stressed. Suddenly, your $100,000 doesn't feel like progress. It feels like you're still behind. The American Psychological Association has published research for years showing that financial stress in the U.S. is driven less by absolute income and more by perceived gaps between where people are and where they believe they should be. That gap is what creates the anxiety, not the number itself. Now let's bring in a metaphor, because this concept deserves one. Think of your financial stress like a thermostat, not like a fuel gauge. A fuel gauge just measures what's actually in the tank. A thermostat, on the other hand, is constantly trying to match a target you've set, consciously or not. When you get a raise, you don't just add fuel. You unconsciously reset the target temperature too. So even though there's more in the tank, the thermostat recalibrates the moment more comes in, and you end up feeling the exact same temperature of stress as before. That's why more money alone rarely fixes financial anxiety. If the target keeps moving with the income, the discomfort just moves with it. Let's go back to real numbers, because I don't want this to stay abstract. Picture two people, both earning $100,000 a year in a mid-sized American city. Person one immediately upgrades their apartment, their car, and their weekends spending the moment the raise hits. Their fixed monthly costs rise from around $3,200 to $4,700. Person two keeps their apartment the same, keeps driving the same car for 2 more years, and instead automatically redirects $1,000 of that raise into a high-yield savings account before they ever see it in their checking account. After 12 months, person one has nothing extra to show for the raise, just higher bills and the same stress level as before, maybe worse because now there's less room to breathe if anything goes wrong. Person two has $12,000 saved, on top of whatever they already had, and far more emotional slack if their car breaks down or a medical bill shows up. Same raise, same income, completely different psychological outcome. And this brings up something that almost never gets talked about honestly: medical costs. This is such an American-specific stressor. According to data referenced by the Kaiser Family Foundation, a large share of U.S. adults report they wouldn't be able to cover a surprise $500 medical expense without borrowing or going into debt. That statistic doesn't discriminate by income level nearly as much as people assume. Someone making $100,000 with no savings buffer can be just as one emergency room visit away from financial panic as someone making $55,000. Income protects you far less than people think if there's no actual buffer behind it. This is why the raise didn't fix the stress. The stress was never really about the income level. It was about the absence of a buffer. Now here's where it gets even more interesting, because there's an identity piece to all of this too. When your income goes up, there's a subtle internal pressure to start looking like someone who makes that amount. You start feeling like the $1,400 apartment doesn't match your title anymore. Your car starts to feel embarrassing next to your new coworkers. This isn't vanity, it's identity psychology. Humans naturally try to align their external environment with their internal self-concept. The raise didn't just change your income, it quietly changed how you think you're supposed to live. And that shift is expensive in ways that never show up as a single obvious purchase. It shows up as 100 small decisions that each feel harmless. So what actually helps here? Not extreme frugality, not some rigid deprivation plan, because that never lasts and it's not the point of this channel anyway. The first step is separating the raise from your visible spending the moment it happens. Before your lifestyle has a chance to expand to meet it, redirect a fixed percentage, even something like 40 to 50% of the new amount, straight into savings or an emergency fund automatically. If it never touches your regular checking account, your brain never adjusts its baseline around it. And that single habit prevents almost the entire psychological trap we just walked through. The second step is building what I'd call a buffer number, not a budget. Most people obsess over budgeting every dollar, but what actually reduces anxiety is having a specific number, say 3 months of essential expenses sitting untouched that you know exists no matter what. That number is what turns a medical bill or a car repair from a crisis into an inconvenience. It's not about controlling every purchase, it's about having a shock absorber. The third step is auditing your fixed costs specifically, not your total spending. Rent, car payments, subscriptions, these are the ones that quietly expand permanently and are hardest to reverse. A dinner out is a one-time decision. A bigger apartment is a decision you make every single month for years without realizing it. And the last piece, honestly the hardest one, is noticing comparison in real time. When you catch yourself feeling behind because of someone else's visible lifestyle, pause and remember you're comparing your full financial picture to someone's highlight reel. That gap is where the anxiety actually lives, not in your bank account. So if you got a raise recently and it somehow feels like nothing changed, or worse, like things got tighter, you're not failing. You're experiencing something incredibly common and rarely explained clearly. The goal was never to earn more and hope the stress disappears on its own. The goal is to build a buffer strong enough that the next raise, the next bill, the next unexpected expense doesn't reset your thermostat back to the same anxiety you started with. That's the actual win, and it's more achievable than people think.